When talking about the world's most powerful military powers, Russia, the United States, and the United Kingdom are at the top. These three countries are not only the strongest in military power but are also a few steps ahead of the rest of the world in economy and technology. So, why have such powerful countries repeatedly lost to a small and weak country like Afghanistan? What secret is hidden in Afghanistan that forces the world's superpowers to retreat? And most importantly, what interest do Russia, the United States, and Britain have in this barren land? In this Discover TV video, once again, Kush will explore Afghanistan, which has spent most of its history in wars. If we look at the history of invasions, 2,500 years ago, in 520 BCE, the Persians attacked this land, but their rule did not last more than 2 years. Then, in 330 BCE, Alexander, who had conquered most of the world, also invaded Afghanistan, but even he could not maintain his rule here for more than 7 years. The Mongol Empire, Sikh Empire, and Mughal Empire also attacked this land at different times, but only the Mongols managed to stay for 2 years, whereas the Mughals and Sikhs had to retreat within a year. When the British began their conquest of the subcontinent, they controlled everything from present-day Myanmar to Bangladesh, India, and Pakistan. However, they attempted to take control of Afghanistan 3 times, and each time, they failed. In 1979, the Soviet Union, today's Russia, also tried to occupy Afghanistan. After fighting a war there for 9 years, Russia had to withdraw its troops. During this time, a Cold War was ongoing between the Soviet Union and the United States, and each loss in Afghanistan severely damaged the Soviet Union's global reputation. Only 12 years after the Soviet withdrawal, in 2001, the United States attacked Afghanistan. Surprisingly, it was not just the US in this war. An entire coalition of NATO countries, including the UK, Canada, Germany, Italy, France, Denmark, and Poland, 13 powerful nations in total, launched an attack on Afghanistan. On one side were these nations, while on the other, Afghanistan fought alone. This war against the Afghan Taliban lasted for 20 years, but no significant victory was achieved. Eventually, in 2021, American forces had to sign a deal with the Taliban to withdraw. Experts say that during the 20-year-long war, American forces controlled only 15% of Afghanistan. The total area of Afghanistan is slightly larger than France, while its population is even smaller than that of California. How did such a small country continue to resist nations 10 times more powerful? There are many reasons, but the biggest one lies in Afghanistan's geographical location. Afghanistan is divided into various tribes, including Tajiks and Pashtuns. Its borders were not drawn by Afghanistan itself but by foreign powers about 120 years ago. These borders held little significance for the local tribes. On the southern border, Pashtuns have lived for centuries, but interestingly, more Pashtuns live across the border in Pakistan than in Afghanistan itself. Before the border existed, Pashtuns moved freely between Afghanistan and western Pakistan, and even after its creation, they continued to do so. Since this border passes through extremely high mountains, it has always been challenging for both Pakistan and Afghanistan to control it. Known as the Durand Line, this border is 2,640 kilometers long, with at least 300 points where crossing is easy. Taking advantage of this, drug smuggling, arms trafficking, and militant movements have become common. Afghan terrorists can easily enter Pakistan, train new militants, and then return to Afghanistan. For these reasons, the Durand Line is considered one of the most dangerous borders in the world. Afghanistan is a landlocked country, meaning any invasion must rely on neighboring countries for access. These include Iran, Turkmenistan, Uzbekistan, Tajikistan, China, and Pakistan. However, even if invaders reach the Afghan border, they must face massive mountain ranges. Afghanistan is located at the center of the world continent, but its harsh geography limits its population. The Hindu Kush mountain range is so high and dangerous that surviving or crossing it is considered nearly impossible. These towering mountains cover 75% of Afghanistan's land, and over 50% of the country's terrain is at an altitude of more than 2,000 meters. These mountains act as a natural wall against foreign invaders. While outsiders struggle to navigate these landscapes, local tribes are well acquainted with them. When the Soviets attacked Afghanistan, militants hid in these mountains and launched surprise attacks on Russian tanks and troops. They would retreat into the mountains, where finding them was nearly impossible. Often, militants even destroyed entire passes and roads, preventing Russian forces from advancing for months. The Hindu Kush mountains not only block invaders but also make internal transportation extremely difficult. Many tribes are so isolated that they have little connection with each other. Due to these harsh roots, they have built their own separate worlds, governed by their own laws, and handle their security independently. This is why even the Afghan central government has little control over tribal areas. If Afghanistan's own government cannot control these regions, how can foreign military powers hope to do so? In 1979, the Soviet military managed to establish a base in the city of Kush, but Afghan militants surrounded it from all sides. Since the militants occupied higher positions in the mountains, they cut off all access routes to the city. This led to a complete supply breakdown for the Soviet base, leaving it dependent only on air supplies, which was not a sustainable solution for the Soviets. This same strategy was used against American forces in 2001. When US and NATO troops were sent to Afghanistan, their supplies had to be transported through Pakistan's Khyber Pass. Afghan militants understood its strategic importance and launched frequent attacks on supply convoys. In 2009, they even destroyed a key section of the Khyber Pass. When American forces retaliated, militants simply crossed into Pakistan and burned NATO supply containers before they even entered Afghanistan. To counter Afghan militants, NATO forces collaborated with the Afghan government and enlisted local tribes in the fight. While they achieved some successes, the overall result of the 20-year war was that only 15% of Afghanistan was ever truly under US control. An estimate suggests that the US spent a total of $2.3 trillion on its military operations in Afghanistan, equivalent to $300 million per day. Yet, even after spending such an enormous amount, when 85% of the country was still under Taliban control, the US decided that withdrawal was the best option. Now, we all understand that Afghanistan's dangerous mountains hide countless secrets, and its isolated tribal areas make it impossible for foreign powers to maintain long-term control. But why does everyone still want to control Afghanistan? The answer lies in its geographical location. Afghanistan is at the heart of Asia, crucial for connecting Central Asia, South Asia, and the Middle East. Any power that controls Afghanistan automatically becomes important to the entire region. This is why, whenever one superpower tries to take control of Afghanistan, another power funds and supports militants to weaken them. Hopefully, today's short Discover TV video has clarified many of your concepts. Thank you all for your love and supportive comments. See you in the next exciting video.